to one of my best days of my life, which is doing this session. And today we are on lesson 39. One lesson that I think every teenager should know from a very young age, and which is to improve your financial literacy. For those that are joining us for the very first time, the conversation comes from a letter to my son, and I speak to people who I know personally have lived that lesson, experienced that lesson, and are doing so well in that lesson. Hi, Tatenda. So today we're talking to Kedu Kudzi Maraire, one of my favorite people. And we're going to talk about financial literacy. So I'll read from the extract while we're waiting for Kudzi to come on to the live. They say, save the best for the last. Well, here we are, almost at the end. There is no pity parties because you have no money. Hakuna shakadaro. Save some money for the future. I read from the book, The Richest Man of Babylon, that you should put aside 10% of your income into a savings account for the future. Another 10%, there is Kudzi. Another 10% should be for your tithes, and another 10% for investment. So you should endeavor to live on 70% of your income. I'm sure Kudzi is going to teach us, and we know if this 70% actually works. So always have money saved for a rainy day and buy as much property as you can. See, I'm pushing him to be a property investor. And if your lifestyle is more than 70% of your income, you are eating into your future. I don't know if this is true. This was a mother telling her, I have a friend. Her name is Kudzi, and she's coming on my live, and we're going to talk about this. I'm waiting for Kudzi. Hey, Kudzi!
Hey.
How are you? Happy birthday!
Thank you so much, Tendi. I've never been so happy to see my own face on a video. I was a little bit worried because I'm working from home because our office now closes early at 6 p.m. So, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I have my copy.
Yes! You see, these are friends I love, Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, Kudzi, happy birthday. How was your birthday anyway?
It was fabulous. I think amongst my birthdays, this was probably one of the most exciting.
Why? Why was it so exciting?
So I think what I really enjoyed was that from the time that I woke up, my phone had messages from good friends, affirmations, and I normally start off my day in the gym because before you get into the content, your first wealth is your health. So, right. I try and make sure that I try and start my day with a bit of energy. So I go to the gym. And when I got there, my trainer, who's called Liane, had put up a little board saying, happy birthday, Kudzi. So all of the dudes, all of the guys are happy birthday. And I think the really great thing is they said that all of the calories you eat on your birthday do not count. So
So you indulged. What did you have?
Listen. Everything I ate today does not count, okay?
Oh my God. It's such an honor to call you friend, Kudzi, like personal friend.
Same love. They don't know we've been a lot.
We've been for over 25 years.
We've had people dunk basketballs in our faces. We've been made to cry by Mutara Girls High. We were made to cry by Mutara Girls High and Hatso made us cry. It's been a long while. 95, my guy, it's come a mighty long way.
25 years. Yeah, we're grown. But like my son always says, Mom, the craziest thing about life is you go to school with the same people, you study the same things in the same environment, but you turn out completely in different parts of life.
Look at you. You have a trademark on your name.
And oh my God. And you are a financial beast. You know what I mean? Like I follow everything I haven't listened to your Dorothea program because I don't know where to find your podcast, but I heard amazing reviews.
Yeah. I want you to come in as a guest because pane topic at Rukuita, which I know is your topic.
But please send me a link. Send me a link because you guys never tell us how to actually find it. So we kind of get lost, you know, to Zongona Nyaya on Twitter.
The website, but I'll share it next time. I'll tag you personally, you know, personally.
So, I mean, because I've known Kudzi all my life, but I'm sure the people we're about to teach about financial literacy are people that don't know you. So let's help them trust you. Who are you, Kudzi? Where are you from? Where were you born? Who are your siblings? Okay. Where did you go to school? I know you went to the best school, but you know.
Come on, tell them. So, yeah, where to even start is easy today because I was born today. Only that it was in 1982 on the 16th of June. And, you know, legends were born on this day. The Liverpool coach, Liverpool boss, Jurgen Klopp was born on this day. Tupac Shakur was born on this day. And, of course, a number of other living legends, including yours truly. But this is also the day of the African child, and it's a special day. This is the day I was born. Interestingly, this is the only time I've even been conscious of the fact that I was born on a Wednesday, and today is a Wednesday. So, you know, I turned 39 today. I never hide my age, Tendi. Apparently, the good book says that...
Why did I think you were 83?
Sweetheart, I'm older than you. Am I not?
That is not fair because they're not in Fanakud. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, deal with it. The only CC we have is Lucy in common. So I deal with it.
Fine.
So, 82, I was born in Harare. My parents both come from Mutare. In Zimbabwe, say they hail from Mutare, the Mutare Teachers College, and their love story brought them to Harare, where they also, you know, started, you know, their teaching careers, living in a small flat which they bought in Glenora. Then later on moved to Waterfalls, and I was born when they were still in Glenora. I was born at Parirenyatwa in the Mbuyane Handa maternity section. So shout out to Gogo.
Me too. Gogo's not said I was born there too.
Yes, so apparently my mom keeps insisting it was top tier. So that's a conversation for another day. But obviously for teachers at the time, it was a really great place and they could afford it. And yeah, I grew up, I think the first 2 years of my life were in Glenora, but I obviously have not much of a recollection because I was only 2. However, two life things happened when I was there. One, which I still remember, is that when we were playing outside, someone put a stick into a hole where there were bees, and the bees started biting us. And because I was the baby, all of the other bigger kids ran away and left me by that hole. And some man, because Zimbabwe was really a different place, took me from Glenora B, and I'm told he ran with me all the way to Glenora A around 12 p.m. and only brought me back at about 4 or 5 p.m. when things had calmed down. And I don't have a recollection in the sense of clarity of who was there, but the thing I remember is that there were flowers that the bees were attracted to when we were playing. And up to today, when I smell that specific flower, I don't remember its name, I remember that incident. So it's crazy the things that you can remember from your childhood. So that was Glenora B. The second thing is my parents used to live on, I think, a 3rd or 4th floor. And I, at that time, was the baby in my family, and my mom says she was doing laundry. And for some reason, I got over the top, basically over the ledge, and I was about to fall. So I was basically hanging for dear life. And I was crying out, "Mama, uyaone nana." And my mom didn't think it was anything serious because she thought I was playing with my little dolly. So she ignored it. And then I'm told Vadepa Flat started taking out stuff, you know, mattresses, sofas, anything soft, magumbezi, you know, my twin ones, but mapuma, brought all everything out, just saying, listen, let's try and catch this baby. But someone then calmly got up and then they caught me. So that's all I remember about Glenora. Then we moved to Waterfalls. So my parents now... My parents now, so when we're in scripture union, would have said from the time I was young, the devil tried to kill me. Amen.
Amen, Sister Kudzi.
So yeah, we moved to Waterfalls, which is where I spent, and there I've obviously got a very clear childhood because by then I was like 2.5 in 84. My father says that when they moved to that house, they bought a house with a swimming pool, and this was arriving for teachers, right? So they bought a house with a swimming pool, and my father insists that the only thing I said, I was not impressed. He says when he carried me into that house, I looked outside, saw that swimming pool in perfect condition, and the only thing I said was, up to this day, I'm a poor swimmer. You know, I'm a very poor swimmer, but I grew up there, and so I started primary school at Horton Park Primary School, and I tell my son now that we used to walk because we did walk. In grade 1.
The children. Walk for yourself. Drive
I
them
told
to
him that
school.
we used to go over a river, but technically that's not true. There was a bridge. So we crossed from Parktown, only into Houghton Park, and I really enjoyed my year. It was only 1 year. It was just grade one at Houghton Park Primary. Wait, I skipped something. I went to crash at Regina Mundi in Highfield. When we were still and I still have very clear recollections because it was a Catholic creche, and they'd make us sleep in the afternoon side by side, and one of the kids who was in there had his dad who was a policeman, and he'd scare us into eating some of his food, and he would say, "Hey, if you don't eat this food, I'm going to get my dad to arrest you." And so that's how many of us just grew up Chichikama Purisa.
Oh my God, Kuzi, you're insane. You're insane.
I also have,
you recall things like that.
I have a terribly clear memory because the one major thing I remember is being forgotten at the age of 4 at that creche. Because apparently my parents were my mom was teaching still at Chembira, my father was deputy head at Glenview 2 primary school, and they all both thought Kutimwana Atora from school, so they forgot me. And the nuns in their kindness cooked nice sadza with green vegetables and then put me in the place where they were eating, and then they've made me eat all of my food, and I finished it all because in the room where they ate there was a cross which had Jesus Christ, and I had this feeling that if I didn't eat they wouldn't know me. Because I'm pretty serious. So they
that couldn't have been your first encounter. Kuna Jesu can't be doing that to you. That's a lie. It's a lie.
So because that was the trouble. Funny enough, my mom Zimbabwe was different then. My mom did not have a house girl. She had a house boy. That I don't remember.
So yeah, it's not weird at all.
So, okay, that's fun. Interesting to hear. So Mkoma Boni then came to pick me up, and then he carried me across the Mukuvisi, and we went home. So it's a very interesting recollection. To this day, I try not to be late in picking up my children because Absolutely. I was so traumatized. It's 35 years later, and I remember everything in great detail.
I know. So, and then after Houghton Park, where did you go?
Oh yes, from Houghton Park, they then opened up Herman Gemeiner Primary School, which was a brand new semi-private school. It was a German, and the owner is, I think, Austrian, or rather the founder, Herman Gemeiner himself was a founder who was Austrian. And my mom, because she was a teacher, then was able to transfer because the school was literally across the road from where we stayed. Okay. So I then spent most of my primary school in Herman Gemeiner HGPS, very commonly known in what was a school, SOS. It was a lovely school. Okay. It was a lovely school. And one of the earliest memories I have is that Herman Gemeiner himself was born, if I'm not mistaken, in June, and I think it might have been the 16th or it was the 17th.
Oh my God! Like, look at you trying to fit in people to the 16th.
Yes, but look, these are facts. People can Google these things. You can fact check me. You were born in June, certainly. My earliest recollection there is that they would have Herman Gemeiner Day every year in June, and would have fun and games. There would be jumping castles, there would be clowns, and then listen, there would always be pies and gem tarts and all sorts of things. You'd eat until maneta. Once go ahead, not kushkamaguta.
Maneta. That is called food coma. It's called food coma.
Yeah,
until you got into food coma.
So yeah. Obviously. But the funny bit is my primary school did not have basketball. The sport I played in primary school, which I was pretty good at, in fact, the word is not pretty good at, I was damn good at, was hockey. So I enjoyed hockey. I was a really great student at school. I was a sharp kid, always best all around, literally from grade 2, which is when I started at Herman Gemeiner, all the way to grade 7. And so what better thing to do for a high performer than to send them into the best high school in the nation, St. David's School for Girls. And that, friends, is how I ended up at Bonda. Commonly known as
please tell them that Kubonda, you had to send your picture because they only took beauty and brains. Like, it was a thing.
Listen, tell these people, you'd not apply. No, they wanted a passport photo, before you even matured. Before you even matured, because some people want to nakaka with age, But we came as we were. But I'll tell you the best days of my life without a doubt. And I always say this to my son, that enjoy school, because listen,
Absolutely.
these will be some of the best days of your life. I made meaningful friendships, and you are still my friend.
Yep.
You know, I've made meaningful friendships from Bond. I cannot be able to name them. They say, you know, Vanaraviro, Vanaruimbombuzi, everything for twins. So you have twins as friends. You know, the Chipo Chimbetetes, you know, it was a really great place to be, the Tafadzwam days. And of course, you know, getting there, Form 1 was a bit traumatic for me, I'll be honest.
Really?
First time in boarding.
Was that your first time? Okay, it was your first time.
It was my first time, unfortunately, but it was also expensive. Most people I knew would perhaps had their worst experience first term because of duties, and then it was raining, so the weather.
But then Kudzi, you were blessed. You became a Fed, and I mean, come on.
Teda, you need to remember something. On the very first day I came to school, on the 13th of January 1995, at 4:38 p.m., I get it to box room. You know, I was the first victim. I can't say because she's a woman of God now. I got amen on Facebook within 5 minutes. I got hallelujah. I can neither confirm nor deny.
I will confirm and I can repeat it. Yes, but me, and you know what? The weirdest part is she was my senior in primary school. So I never got any of that. Like, I was immune to all that.
Yeah. I was called Kilem for a whole month. I was called Kilem for a whole month.
But come on, that made you stronger. That made you stronger. Of course it did.
And look, Auntie basketball. She was my person now. She was like my person.
And she was a great basketball player. She was
a great basketball player. She was a great basketball player, and I met her a couple of years back, and we actually laughed about this. And she was actually buying Bibles, I think, somewhere Bond. Which was like, that is in Form 2, you know. And I was like, no, it made me stronger. So yeah, I enjoyed Bond. You know, by Form 2, you know, you got into the basketball team. We had Mr. Moore. We had a really great outfit, Bonda Bullets. Life was good. I mean, Bonda was a really nice mix of getting to see different people. But I will say one thing that I think is really important for this discussion. Going to boarding school was perhaps one of the greatest places at the age of 12, because I only turned 13 in our school, where I could have the opportunity to have resources to myself. What was in your trunk was yours.
Yeah.
And then you plan.
That was it.
Drought by before midterm, you know. Ukasavistirwa, and I was from Harare. My mama was so you know, when we came to visit, you know, should always send one of my good friends who I grew up with, Esther Marie. Esther Marie's mom would come with stuff, you know, and my mom would only come once in a while because she was a TIC. She was always busy weekends and stuff like that, and she didn't like traveling much. And then she later told me, growing up, good to know that Usanya leaned too much on me.
Wow.
And for I'm thankful, because that did teach me to be a bit smarter with money, to the extent that when we would then go for those breaks, I love how, you know, my mom would send me money and say, "Do you want to come home?" And no, I'll go to Mtare because it was cheaper.
Wow.
And then the and I would go to Mtare Teachers College, where my late uncle used to lecture, the late B. Mukuze. He was the cartoonist in Manika Post. He would draw us.
Right.
And my mother, my Mbuya Hedwig was my favorite. Still is up to now. So it really taught me just to manage resources, because my mom would do it this way. She would never take us, all three kids, because I have an older sister and a younger brother. She would never take us grocery shopping, ever. She'd be like, and okay, go and check what you want. You come with a list, and then you'd be writing Kayo. You know, before things went, you know, before 1997, you'd have creams. Mazoe orange, you know, you put all those really nice brands.
I was at Highlanders in my trunk.
Highlanders were elite. They were like top tier. Those things would, my rosemary creams, that would melt in your mouth. And then, of course, you know, she would then say, and then list yako, and then you'd come back and say, okay, my stuff is going to cost, let's say, $400. And she'd say, no, my budget for you is 300. So here's the 300. Sort yourself out. If you spend it all on biscuits, and you have one bar of
It's on
soap,
you.
if you send it all on whatever. So for me, I always say that my mom was perhaps the most influential person in terms of how I manage money up to date. And we still laugh because all three of my siblings, or me and all of my two siblings, because there's three of us, still use lists. I have budgets I was using from 2011 on Excel.
What?
We still write notebooks. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's crazy that those things were just instilled in us because we knew if you didn't manage money well by yourself, then you were on your own. So, first term, second term, a few mistakes, but by third term, I was a beast. I was a monster.
So you having learned that already, Kubonda, and you're learning how to budget. Did you go back for upper six?
I did. I was there for up to upper six as well. Obviously, by the time I was upper six, I was much more mature. And I think I still sort of carried those same lessons. Now, something interesting, my mom would always send me more than enough. There was a time when Basfa, Maregi, do you remember Maregi Tendai? Do you remember these things? And would go for concourse, and
that brown envelope with the T stripe.
Absolutely, yes. Then you'd be like, Diana Nemari, and she'd always send, I think bus fare was $32 for the longest time. And my mom would always send $50, always. She'd always send $50. And I'd wonder, pocket money, how is she so generous? And then I got to know it was a way of sort of like giving me holiday money without really giving me holiday money. Nekwenda ku town and meet boys and stuff like. Was where the girls cook? Look, were you even a thing if you never had a marist boyfriend? Is my question.
I had a marist boyfriend. That's all I dated because that was the only school to date. Every other school were my barras.
What was the issue between? What was the story between you and Gabe? Let's leave that. Anyway, so in the name Fesonga instance, he's a doctor now.
Okay. I'm not going to instigate here.
Yes. So from there, the other thing that I would say is a milestone for how I used money as well was my very first job, right? In the sense of job, was when Haifa started in I think it started 98 or 99, and my sister was at Girls High then because she could speak French. She was a French student, was invited to be part of the kids high school kids they brought in. And so, of course, next year, actually, then they said, just bring in people and, she brought me in and my brother. And would work for Haifa every year. I used to check tickets, for people. So we would meet all sorts of creatives and staff, be able to get into free shows.
So before I know, because you're such a brilliant storyteller, I could get lost without actually teaching today. So I want to talk about your high school time because the book that I wrote was within the same age as my son, the high school part of life. And I was telling him, you need to improve your financial literacy. So let's talk about this high school. Do you think kids can actually learn? And what can we do for our children to teach them to be more financially responsible and have better financial literacy?
Okay, this is a topic I love because I'm a mom, and this is a journey I'm also working on with my son who's 11, turning 12. So my short answer is yes. My short answer is yes, that kids learn. One thing I know about kids is one of their maths. So a week ago, I gave my little daughter 2 jelly babies, which she was just lucky to find in a packet in my bag. And she has a little friend next door whom she immediately went to call and said, let's share. We do half. I don't think she actually knows what half means. But I always say when I teach financial literacy sessions that in my classes, all you need is grade 1 mathematics to start with. I know how to add and to subtract. And then as long as you finished grade 3, I didn't say pass. I did not say pass. As you just went through grade 3, board mass, brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. I think it's changed now, but whatever that is. As long as you did that, that is basic mathematics you require. Because the basics of money do not go away. And many of the things that adults struggle with, I find that children understand. Children understand more than we know. And so my belief is that even as early as primary, but we're speaking of high school, even better when it's high school, they know what to do with money if we teach them the principles. Now, my son who's also in primary, at some point was told that their class at his school, they used to take turns to sell things during break time to raise money for camp, right? And when it was his turn, they then decided to sell certain cakes and stuff together, but they were not really moving. And then there was a whole lot of, you know how sometimes Zimbabweans are like, no, then they agreed with, okay, let every person bring whatever good they want to sell. So I asked him, what do you want to sell? And I said, think about something that kids like, but they may not be able to get from the tuck shop, which is different. And for some reason, he was like, let me get sugar at Maputi. I gave him $1 because a pack of 20 was $1 to my shop to him town. He went and bought that. And then he said, okay, for you to make money, how much must you sell these at? And he just basically picked a number from the sky. I was like, no, Chris, it doesn't work that way. You don't just say, I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell a packet for $1 to everybody. Do you think kids will buy a packet of sugar at Maputi for $1? They probably won't, right? So we then started to do the costing around it. And Apanga grade, he was grade 5, so he was like 9 or 10. And this is primary school. So my point is this: the mathematics that he has, or the mathematics children are taught, can be brought to life in a real way. Let's start by just showing kids manos or coins, right? Whether I'm US dollars. Then allow them to see us transact, also allow them to transact. And it starts with just very basic things that I first taught him just how to save. So I used to give him coins. They were mostly Maranza or coins. I did this large tin, and you'd put them in there. And there was a time they would still be accepted in shops, when we're still under multi-currency for proper. Even on a pick and pay, now you coins. Because I would say to him, I'm not going to buy specific small toys for you. Learn from the monies that I occasionally give you or friends and relatives give you just to save. So I think the basics of money, which are, your saving, your budgeting, your investing, your planning, all of those things. And I'm just leaving out debt because half the time kids are not really in debt. Kids understand. They do understand. I saw someone saying that we used to trade things when we're in high school, like
barter trade.
You could barter trade, and that tells that people know kind of value. Now, to get to barter, you'd have to understand, okay, is this worth 2 macharons? Or 3 or 4 or 5, and you'd have until you got to write whatever it is you thought was a fair price. So, if anyone knows justice and fairness, it's kids. And the mathematics that they use in school, we can bring it to life by allowing them to transact. We do ourselves a great disfavor if we do not teach them about money young. The sooner we start, my belief is
I hear you when you say the sooner we start, but I think some parents could be completely clueless to say, okay, I don't even know where to start, or it's been such a mess already, and they're in Form 4 or they're in Form 2, and they're already reckless with money. How do I reel it back in and bring responsibility and interaction with money?
Okay, so I'll say if I'm going from the very base, start by getting some notes, like a range of notes. I think my US dollars are a good idea: 100, Panapa 50, 20, 10, 5 through to dollar China, because you don't find them too clean, right? And then just ask them, what do you know about money? You'll be surprised that some things kids will also have learned from other kids who perhaps have parents who started earlier than them, right? And I also think that it's a really good idea, after I've asked them what they know about money, to make them understand that every note and coin is different. It has a specific value. And, I can buy certain things with it, or I cannot be able to buy certain things with it. And then number two, I think teach them that's showing them what money is, right? It has value. It can be deployed to buy meaningful things, and it can also be used to buy silly things. I feel like the best way to teach kids about money is just to give them a bit of money and then see what they do. Then I think, because some kids are just
inini vanondinetsa kutaura chokwadi vana vanongopiwa kuti mama want to go out with my friends obva wangopiwa mari. Like, do you think kids should work and earn for that money, or what is their right, let them just have the money?
I've always said to my son that your right here is to have a roof over your head and food. Pocket money is never, in my view, a right. But so for me, I think and you bring out a very important point. I think the first thing is to actually earn, right? Earn, and then you learn from what you earn. Because the principle of work must never go away. And I think that's something we are really fast losing in Zim sometimes, especially for high school kids, because they see lots of people who are doing well, doing other funny supposedly funny or maybe illegal things, but the principle of work will go away. So it's important to start with, where does money come from? So this is money. Now, for me to put this money on the table, which I'm showing you, I had to go to work. So I've heard people say, no, work is out of fashion. You must be a business owner and all that stuff. That's also work. Apparently, you don't from Norway.
There's always work. Yeah, even if you're consulting, you're working.
Absolutely. I'm self-employed. I also run a creche and all that stuff, but it's all work. It all takes time and energy from me, and effort and skills. It's work. So the first principle which I feel is important is to just tell kids about making money. So I do a program which I do for high schoolers. The topics are different in terms of naming. Yes.
Where do you do this program, and where do we find it?
I did run it over lockdown a number of times, but perhaps I should maybe blow that up a bit more going forward.
This holiday. I mean, for holiday, they should all go to financial school. They should all go.
Maybe a day or two. We will give them this. I gave them this holiday to rest next time. So I name the topics very simply, deliberately. The first topic is making money, because there must be logic. I can start by saying save money, because you'll be asked, what money? I have no money. I'm 16, 12. I'm broke. My life is brokenness, because I can't do it. So I think the first lesson, even as early as primary, is just to tell kids or teach them how to make money. And I like, I'm not a huge fan of everything Kiyosaki says, but I do like his book, Cash Flow Quadrant. So most people talk about
I haven't read that.
It's a good book to read, and I highly recommend. But I highly recommend that we read the one that's called Cash Flow Quadrant, where he isolates a principle where he speaks about the 4 sources of income. In short, he says you make money from employment, you make money from self-employment, you make money from business, and you make money from investments. And those things you don't really need to wait until you're an adult to do. So each of them, he calls them quadrants, right? So even kids can start to locate themselves.
Kuzi? Okay. Hello. Is it me? Or is it Kuzi? Don't go away. Oh, we want the quadrant. Okay, are you back?
So I'm just saying, yes, I'm back. Okay. So the 4 are, employment, you have a job and you're paid a salary, right? And that's a very important source of income. In fact, we must encourage kids to do jobs.
Guys, is it my network? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Tatienda, if you...
I've been lost there a little, I think.
Okay. Are you back?
I'm back. I think I'm back now.
I'm not sure if it's me or you.
I'm not sure either. I suspect me.
Yeah, because you keep dropping. You keep making a circle. We've got 3 Wi-Fi.
Okay, I think we're back now.
Okay. Yes, we are.
Okay, let me try and pack it in while we still have a bit of good connection. So I think that quadrant is a tool that I think every parent can use as a resource. You make employment, you make money by being self-employed.
You may. I'm not going to drop this call until you come back, because this is good stuff. This is good stuff for kids. This is good stuff for everybody, including adults. Oh, so it's the guest. So it's you, Kuzi. You keep disappearing.
I'm so sorry, guys. I hope this improves. So let me just say, because
the quadrant, because even adults need this quadrant.
Yes, they do. Employment is the first way of making money. But 2 is self-employment, things you do by yourself. Like you didn't get a job from someone. That's self-employment. Most people call that business. It's not, because it's you.
Okay.
Right? It's self-employment. If you don't work, no money comes in. Right? And then there is the quadrant that is a business.
All right.
This one is where you now, perhaps, if I was selling sweets, I now have people selling for me in different places. And so I've set up a system and people are working for me, right? Even children can do that, because Kuchkoro Chaeko Mwana can be selling some things and have friends in different forms or classes selling on their behalf, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, what is called investing, where you put money in places where you can make more money. You know, you put money into shares, you put money into maround, you know how people enter maround, and then mariam around, you know, needs, and then into other people, and you make more money on it. So money basics are actually very simple enough, even for children to understand. So all of these 4 things we're talking about, which are in the cash flow quadrant, we can read and we can learn, right? And most kids may start from jobs, so give them my jobs kumba to my chores to our with my son, because I have a little one. I pay him a bit for babysitting. He's also paid for, what is the other thing? We had a number of things that I asked him to, and just to get him, just to be difficult, I say to him every end of month, bill me for the things you have done. And most months he would forget. And then you'd say, you have my money, and I said, I never saw a bill. And I'll say, I never saw a bill. You know? So now if you don't collect, I say this because what if he grows up and becomes a creative? You know how people
exactly. We suffer. We suffer with creative.
So I like what one friend of mine says, and I pay my kids for some chores. Panama chores ekumba, you do them because you live here, you eat our sadza, right? Then Panama chores, which we can then pay you for as extras. So that friend was saying that my kids were not a rotation for dishes and stuff, but I also occasionally pay them for some household duties. So at the end of the month, you know, you then pay them. But then she goes on to add that I always then try and make sure that if I've given them $10, well, when they're on their way to the bedroom, I mark them and take away $5 just so that they know how tough life is. I'm not sure whether that should be done.
No, that's extorted. That's extorted. That's daylight robbery.
Daylight, literally. Or on the $10. And on the $10, I will take away $3 and say this is tax, so they start to learn how tough life is. So I think for high schoolers you can, but not for primary to know
so could be. I mean, all right. I love these quadrants, and they work for all of us. And like, you know what Tatenda is saying, people usually confuse self-employment and running a business, because nengo chiti dine business nangure kutengesa, but kana yoga satengesa apana chichatoitika, like nothing will actually happen.
Yes, that's self-employment. So self-employment is a job that you have created for yourself. The beauty is no one can find you because you hired yourself. But you see, the downside is this. When you're away, when you're traveling, when you're sick, if you're dead or dying, then nothing comes in, right? That thing is entirely hinged on you. So if it's on you, then it's self-employment. It's not business. But at the same time, the advantages of self-employment are obviously there as well. Whatever you make is all yours.
So, all right, let's go back. You know me, I'm like you, a great storyteller. So you're done with high school, and I hope you can hear me. You're done with high school. You went to varsity, and then Kuzi starts making a circle. Let's make a circle. A big circle. Hey, Kuzi, are you back? Kuzai maraire. Yo, Kuzai maraire. Kuzai maraire. Kuzi, what disappear? Okay. Anyway, for those who are just joining us, I'm talking to Kuzai maraire. Okay.
I can see
can't.
You. Okay, lovely.
Okay, now I can. So Kuzai maraire is what is a financial literacy bae. You know, she is the girl with the hookup for your financials. And of course, in the first half, and I stopped her at high school to talk about how we can influence our children to start making money, to respect money. They need to respect and know that it comes for your money's worth. So after Bonda, you went to use it, yes?
I went to NAST. Oh,
sorry.
Because my study group all wanted to go to use it. I used to study Nana Precious Musona, Vanaviro, Anna Esther. And at the very last moment when I got selection papers, I decided to go to Bulawayo because I wanted to be free from my parents. Bit of freedom. So yeah, I chose NAST and I chose banking, which is quite weird because we all wanted to be accountants, but absolutely no regrets now. And I think the fact that at NAST there was not enough student accommodation also helped. We lived off-site. you would be sent 50 kg, okay, maybe not 50, 20 kgs zeupu, a few basics, and 3 bars zesipo tonana after 3 months vaskana, and money. So it was on you. You're an adult now. You got to pay rent. You got to pay bus fare because you literally commuted to school because very few people lived on campus. Most of us lived outside. And I was sharing, I'm sure you might remember Peshi Manotoma. We were sharing a little cottage. Yeah, you'd have to start off by buying a bed and, wardrobes. And,
so were you working when you were at college as well?
So initially, first year, I wasn't. But that's not Maria Ikwani. Second year, I was wiser. So I then started to sell means. Some people I think were gonna raise. So I would sell means meat because at that time Nas now had raised some raise.
Wait, how do you think of that? What was your market analysis for you to say means zakashota vanhu vanodzitenga?
Means dzakanaka pakudai tendi. Musuwa wega wega unenge uine nyama. So ndo nyama So one pack of means, my guy, takes you for the semester. Okay, not the semester, but look, people want the taste of meat, and you could mix it with veggies, put it with rice. It was very versatile with pasta and stuff like that. So there was a guy, Charles, who knew where to source it. He would bring it to raise, and each of us had a portion of the freezer. Accommodation was really great, high standards. So I'd pack it into my freezer. My portion always had means, and people were very honest then. Even Makatora and Disipo, they would pay, and that really helped me to have a whole lot of other things I did. But that's now what I was doing then was employment, right? Because I was selling Dega. That was self-employment. But I also then realized, because I was a banking student, there is a course in IOBZ, which is a certification, which is mostly done by people who got into banks but do not have a degree or a diploma and want to learn on the job. So it's a very, very valuable certification. And they didn't have enough teachers in the city. So a certain advertised that they wanted lecturers. Frankly, I didn't really know some of the topics offhand, but I took, I'm a Bonda graduate.
Yeah.
Read how to write, to talk. We're taught to be at Bonda. So talk through anything. Yeah, I was like, I'll just and I'll delete this thing. So I took.
Your network is doing the thing again. It make you sound like Terminator.
Heck. Me when you see me.
Yes, I can see you. I can see you, but you sound like the Terminator. That's what you sound like.
Oh, like a piano.
What?
But now.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay.
So I used to teach at a.
You're gone again. This is a very amazing. Today it's not me. Today it's not me. It's Kuzi, and I'm proudly saying it's not me. It's damn powered by Zoe, bruh. Today it's Kuzi. Because in the past weeks it was me, but today it isn't. But you have the best conversation because everybody wants to learn about making money and how they can save money and make more money.
This is how Saturn fights us. Hello?
We give Saturn too much credit. Anna power, Blazier.
Also, you can hear me. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So I thought you could. This was supposed to be an under the breath joke.
Okay,
can you still hear me?
Yes, so I can hear you.
Cool. So I taught evenings, and then I was also running my means thing. So I had 2 streams of income, basically self-employment, and then a job. But then the other thing is, because I was a student of finance, I then discovered the stock market through reading the newspaper. And because one of our lecturers was talking about it. So I bought my first share in 2001. I was at college.
No way! Because I love the way you transition. You transitioned right to where I was going. The stock market. So what shares did you buy in 2001?
So it was an insurance company, and I'm trying to remember, was it Fidelity Life? that had listed.
Right. Okay.
I need to fact check myself, but it was an insurance company. And what I can tell you is I remember buying 1,000 shares. I sacrificed money. And I bought each for $1 at the what you call an initial public offering, the first time the company was going public. So they put out what is called a prospectus paper, and when they've put that out, you then go ahead and you buy shares. That's the cheapest you probably can ever get. And Ndakafurira, my older sister, who was at UZ and she was studying French and Portuguese, to also buy. And then we bought, and then like a month or two later, after they'd been listed, each share went up to $1.30. And 30 cents or 30% in Zimbabwean dollars in 2001 was a lot of money. It was a bucket load of money.
It was.
So I did the silly thing of selling everything. I should have just took out my profit. But I didn't know better. I went and sold, and my sister was really great. My sister is quite a fashionista. Takanda ompedza namo tikatenga top quality bero.
Right.
So that was fine on campus. Because we're young, come on, we're young. But what I'm trying to put across is these things I did when I was much, much younger. Because if I do the math, I was still a teenager, 19, 18 then when I went to uni, actually. And so let's not sleep on the things that kids can understand. I was saying when I teach high schoolers or uni students, when I put the topics under this, how to make money, right? And I teach them these things I've been speaking about using that quadrant. We just pitch it at that level, right? That's the making. But then we then go ahead and say, now you've made the money. How do you spend money? There is a method to the madness. There is a method. I know people may not accept this, but there is. And I've always put this as a disclaimer first, Sogostina. I am not one of your financial literacy trainers who says pinch money. That's not how you live life.
No, because we gotta chop money.
Listen, chop the money. What is important is to plan.
Yeah.
And how do you plan money? You start with a budget. And so budgeting is actually it's not a dirty word. Yeah. So planning is always important. And the first plan you are making is your short-term plan. Right. How am I going to spend Mariandinayo? And for me, I've always taught, and even this you can teach kids. I teach my child, okay, fine, you have $10. I want to hear what you're planning. Because you plan first on paper and then you go out and do the spending. So paper first, then spend. Because I'm shopping at $10 and he's done this before. He would pick a $9 toy. You impulse buy. 3 days later, that thing is broken out. I'm going to mama, my $10 is gone. Saka, what do you want me to do? You should have thought about, maybe I should have saved for a better quality toy. Or alternatively, I should have bought, half toy, half candy, half stationery or something. So planning how to use money, I want just to say that because I know that some parents may be listening in or some high schoolers may see this because this is a letter to our sons, right? Yes. You can plan for money even at this whatever small amount. In fact, I've heard people say, ndingaronga kamari kangu kadika. Ione shoma ndorfa ntoronga manje because hauna. I can afford to just pledge and they have more money. You've got to really think about it. And my feeling is always, and this I think is another principle which I learned, funny enough, from my mom. Right. Whenever you have money, right, depending on how you get your money, and this is also true even for high schoolers, it has name sorrow, but also budget for soro in quotes. It's a pity my video is done. Yes. But $10 yako, and these principles are there on lesson 39. Hey, I was showing off my book, but it was not allowing me to pro. Let me say that
we can hear you, we just can't see you. Lesson 39, we are there. What does it say? I was smart, wasn't I?
It says here. Yes, it says here, and 10% of your income should go into a savings account for future use. So you asked at the very beginning, Tendi, whether these things are practical. It's a big yes from me. Extremely. This is very practical. So normalize setting aside something because you will never get wealthy if you always consume everything you make. So save 10% is ideal, but I always say to people, if you can't do 10%, then just save something.
Okay.
Something is better than nothing so that you get into the mode of saving. Mode of saving is basically whenever I get money, I put away something. But in Zimbabwe, we don't just save. We don't just put it aside because raw and inflation. We save invest. In Zim, we save to invest. Can I repeat that? We
Come on.
save to invest. Very
Yes.
important. And then you are saying here that another 10% should be for tithes. So for those who are believers of most faith, you can do that. And another 10% for investment. Now, I like that in your case, you have saving money and investing money. Most people tend to just run 10%, which is both saving and investment. Yours is even better. Because what I would then say is, remember I spoke of a plan, and when you speak about planning money, I would say 10% here saving can then go into what we call an emergency fund, and you keep it in what we call cash, near cash. Isayo kuma shares or kukanda round, so that can happen something chinoda emergency. You know how buses carry when we would get onto our nice Bonda bus going to trips. There was this one solid window. In case of emergency, kick out panel. You always need a bit of money. Something chinonyuka in life, you can immediately get it. So we call that cash and near cash. So that 10% you speak of in your book, we can then say yes, you set that aside for as emergency fund. And then there's of course the tithe one. Or for those people who are not necessarily Christian, maybe you give it away to good causes. But I like the investment one.
Yeah, that's the generosity and the philanthropy. If you're not Christian, of course.
Absolutely. So the last 10% is investment, where you're basically investing in yourself. And let's not sleep on the fact that high schoolers can actually begin to put money in places like the stock market. Ask the parent to open up their account, and then you put in the money for the child, because only 500 Zimbabwe dollars you can trade, and you can teach them. Wana ZS e-direct, wana C-trade, which are available in Zim, are actually very easy to access and very easy for children to use. Very, very important. But you also then live on 70% of your income. And I always say to people, per 70% EOYO or whatever method you use, musangweta mari yacho yesekta serious tongotenga magreen bar tongoita zvingori adult chete. Isoka line for something nice. You know why?
It's our holiday. Save a holiday line there.
It may not even be a holiday attendee. My mom would say, payday, no matter how small your name, dog, chicken in or whatever other in.
Enjoy yourself. Allow me to enjoy myself.
Listen, enjoy because life is also not about just scrounging and pinching pennies. But what is important is to then put in a line for the things you like. Always. This for me is important. And don't make it 70%, of course, but just put in something, every month. It might mean a nice chocolate. So it doesn't have to be. You then manage yourself. Vaccine. The way vaccine works is when they introduce it into your body then knows, good, okay, this is COVID. It fights it. It generates, antibodies that can fight. If then proper COVID comes, your body is ready to fight. So I always say that enjoyment is you vaccinating yourself. If you don't put aside one day, or you just liquidate everything in your account. So it's important to pay yourself as you go. Know that we should be always.
Now, Kudzi, I'm definitely doing a part 2 next week. You're back again because we have not even scratched the surface. And I promise the people I'll do an hour. What?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I promise we'll do it. Yes, but
we've done it.
And I know we'll be having better network.
Yes, I was going to say next week I will be at office at that time. So I'll make a plan so that I have better internet so that we do this the right way. But let me only conclude by saying, I think the basics for today were just, I think 3 things. Number 1 is it's important to respect money. Number 2 is it's important to make money. And we did highlight those 4 ways to begin with. And then we also say that it's very important to plan money. And around planning, saving is an important component. Perhaps when we meet next time, we can then delve deeper if there are specific questions. But I would say that today we did treat what I think are the foundations of managing money.
We've sown the seed. We have sown the seed. And you know what's important, Kudzi, is that financial literacy, in as much as we're talking to the teenagers who, of course, come from my favorite book in the whole world, even adults can learn from this financial literacy, because I see a lot of the moms who are here were clapping hands, and and some of the dads were like, yes, we're going to teach our children financial literacy. But because you also wrote a book, where do we find your book, and what's the title of your book?
No, I'm very embarrassed about that little book which I wrote in 2011 because it's 10 years later. You know why? It's called Take Charge of Your Business. It's called Take Charge of Your Personal Finance. It is probably available on Amazon, but I would not want listeners to buy that copy. I printed copies. Yay! I'm embarrassed. I'm writing a new one now. It's called Cash Talk. Okay. It should be hopefully be out in time for Christmas. So please look out for that one. What I can do is I will generate a link and upload probably on SharePoint, which has the old one. And then I'll share the link with you so that listeners can read that one, because it does take care. It's a fun book. It's probably just one chapter in what I would write next. It's a very fun book. I'm so proud of it because I wrote something. But it does cover all of the basics that we've spoken of in terms of intro. So I'll share a link with you, and then perhaps your followers can then go there, download it for free, and enjoy the book.
And where do we find you? Because I know a lot of people want to come into your DM. They probably have $500. I mean, if they say, I saw you on Soko's live, you can just, talk to them nicely. And then thereafter, we can send them a bill. Where do they find you?
Okay, so I play a lot on Twitter. At Finlitbae, FINLITBAE, you will find me there. And you can also, send a WhatsApp to 0772 526 543. I'm from Sokostina's show. You have my attention. Okay, immediately. But I also have a podcast which is called At Marie Podcast, where I talk about many of these things in great detail. And that's www.marie.co.zw, or you can just look for Marie Podcast on Google Podcasts, and you can enjoy some of the content we've put out on money.
No, they are brilliant, things that she has put out, and I'm one of her students who's also invested and is keeping on investing. Every time Nyangwendika won $1,000, I put it back into the stock market, because I've learned from Kudzi that and yet you're flourishing on the stock exchange. You're flourishing.
Look, we can't all, can I just sneak this one in? We can't all start big companies, but we can be participants in some of these big companies and be a shareholder at Zaima shares.
Yes, I'm a shareholder. Imagine if they called you, they're like, there's a shareholders meeting, and then you get there to fire a whole board, and then
why are there no profits?
I'm a shareholder. Do you remember the advert? I'm a shareholder. Where did I hear it? I don't know. Stay in my brain. But thank you, Kudzi. I'll see you next week, same time. So don't give anyone to this time. I want it again, because we only got to you being in college. We haven't gotten to you getting your undergrad, finishing your undergrad, getting your master's, starting your business, running a consultancy, and because you're a beast, my friend, and I'm so proud of the woman you are, the woman you're becoming, and that we are only starting. We're only starting, and we're going to absolutely take over the world.
Wow, I'm smiling. You can't see me, but I am. Thank you so much. You're too kind.
Thank you, guys. That was Kudzi. She was teaching from my book. Come on.
Buy the book, people. We buy books. Do you know what, Tendi?
Yeah.
Under the quadrant I, investment, right? One of the things is intellectual property. That's why we buy books. We don't photocopy. We don't take our friends' copy. We buy books because we want the author to get value, because this is an investment you've made. And this is another stream of income. So please, people out there, buy the book. Buy it for your kids, buy it for your sons, buy it for your daughters.
Thank you so much, Kudzi, for part 1 of financial literacy. And of course, next week I'm going to add another lesson, because it's you. And you've been through most of what I've been through, so we definitely will have another conversation. So kiss my kids good night, and thank you so much, Kudzi. I'll see you next week. And happy birthday!
Thank you so much. I am going out to party.
Not only that, wait, I have a plan. Next week, can we go for lunch for your birthday? You give me a day you're free.
Okay, I will engage you off air because I have a crazy week. But I want that offer. It must be done.
Of course. No, it's because I got money on the stock exchange. I have a book
Come
running.
through.
I have a
Come
consultancy
through.
running, and I'm employed.
You are
Oh my!
land, my guy.
4 quadrants firing, my guy.
She's 4 in 1. She's 4 in 1.
She's like.
Cheers.
All right.
Thank you for
Thank you so much. Well, there you have it, guys. All right, Kudzi. So buy the copy of the book. We'll see you next week. Tell your friends that the most brilliant financial literacy person will be online, and they also need to learn this. So send her some happy birthday. Please do follow her, like her, and I am saving this live so you can share with all your other friends and teach your children money. Until next week, you know what? Life is good.